What?
I don't think it was later. I seem to recall that being much earlier. But anyway, by the way, guys, we're live. So welcome to the show. We're reminiscing about Buffy the Vampire Slayer now that Joss Whedon has been canceled because apparently
we're done. Joss is off.
apparently he's a jackass. He's for the past like 4 or 5 years he's been getting attacked by people from all directions, saying that he's a passive aggressive control freak and makes people cry and all this kind of stuff.
Wait a second. You mean a Hollywood producer is a control freak?
Surprise! So the argument I keep seeing of late and agree with is that you can separate art from the creator. So because a lot of people, of course, like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which is getting rebooted by Disney.
That's a terrible idea.
It's been a while. I mean, it's been long enough, almost 20 years since it ended. So
No. Look, I'm not saying because it's a reboot. That would be my normal line. In this case, the reboot was better than the original. We agree on that, no?
Yeah.
The original film was rubbish. The series was very good.
Yeah, the series was good. The major show, the major film motion picture was pretty bad. Actually, really, really bad. Although, to be honest, it did have a Donald in it. So Sutherland as the Watcher character. But before we continue, this is a beer show. And as much as I'm enjoying this conversation about Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the beer I'm drinking tonight is called Hobgoblin Ruby beer, and it is 4.5% alcohol. It's 45% alcohol. And it's by Witchwood Brewery, who that brewery, of course, has been featured on the show before.
They're in England, right?
Back in season 1.
Yes.
Like London or something.
Something like that.
Manchester.
I was actually very surprised, Shane, that you grabbed that one.
There were tons.
I think both you and Alan were just like, "Oh my god, this stuff is piss water." When we got that first,
the other Witchwood beer. Well,
yeah.
That's entirely possible.
We did that like a long time ago. I don't even remember if I
think that was in season 1.
Yeah, I probably didn't like it.
Season 1, yeah. Actually, that's not a bad idea. We should cut up each year as a season, ending off with the thing. By the way, my beer, it's very Ruby-esque. It's a very red beer.
It looks very dark on camera.
It smells very nice. It is very dark. It's got it's transparent, but it's such a deep red. So here we go. The aromatic quality is nice.
Rosso, you might say.
That is definitely a Ruby Ale.
Nice.
Reminds me of it's very much like Ruby Tears or Gypsy.
Okay.
Is it called Gypsy Tears anymore? I think they changed the name of that beer because they felt that calling it a gypsy was a bad thing.
Yes, they changed it to Ruby Tears.
Ruby Tears. So I enjoyed that particular thing. This is Ali. This is Peanut Gallery. This is it's very much like Ruby Tears. I just gave it. Give me the beer or die. All right, Alan, what are you drinking tonight?
All right. So we actually tried this beer, a beer from this brewery for the first time a couple weeks ago, and I went back to them because I want to try something else. So this is
you kicked open their door and you were like, "Give me beer!"
Yeah, Souk Oceanside Brewing,
a keg of beer
from Souk, British Columbia. This is their Stuck in the Mud Coffee Porter.
That was the other one I could have got last week or the week before, whenever I got the other one.
It comes in at 6% alcohol by volume. Not a lot of information on here. Roasters, brewers, juggernauts of their own accord. The Stick in the Mud Coffee House has been serving up back alley espresso and soup since 07/07/07. That'd be July 7th, 2007.
As in 2007 Helsinki.
Sweden. We steep their swallow blend dark roast in a robust porter to add even more depth and flavor to this iconic style. Stuck in the Mud, two of our favorite things together in the same glass. Very aromatic. You can definitely smell the coffee. Flavor profile is very good. It's a good porter. The flavor of the coffee doesn't really come through here as much as it does on other kind of beers, like say Bean Me Up. But it's definitely there. You can taste it. I'm liking the mouthfeel. Not much of a head. Lacing doesn't stick to the glass very much. But I'm enjoying this. It's a good beer, and I would get it again.
All right. Locke, I'm moving around the circle here. Around the square, around the whatever. What are you drinking this evening?
So this thing here that I am drinking is called Cano Bliss. Oscar Blues Cano Bliss Double IPA.
Cano Bliss.
Where's that from?
So this is Longmont. Colorado.
Okay.
Brevard, North Carolina, and Austin, Texas.
Cool.
So, first thing that stands out, they've been, I gather, required to put an extra sticker on their can. It's not clear to me that it tells you anything that you didn't already see on the can before. I should see if I can find one of these that has this sticker in a different place. But basically, the sticker says that its ingredients include water, barley, wheat, hops, and yeast. But underneath that, it specifies that it contains barley and wheat.
Really?
I'm going to suggest that it may also contain hops and yeast. I have no idea why they were mandatorily required to add this not especially informative sticker, which says on the can itself that it is 8.2% alcohol by volume. Once again, it's one of these 355 milliliter cans, which, are we going back to stubby cans? Why?
To be honest, that is a very good question.
Imagine reintroducing stubby bottles into today's market, right? You remember back in the late 70s?
Oh, yeah.
80s, stubbies were the only way. There were no long necks.
No.
Stubbies were the only kind of beer.
But wasn't that only in Canada?
Maybe. Could have been. I don't know. Did they have long necks in the U.S.?
I'm thinking that they did. I'm thinking the stubbies are a Canadian thing.
Could
but
be.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Isn't there a red cap or something that's a stubby?
Red stripe.
Red stripe. And that's Jamaican,
Right.
isn't it?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so inherently 80s.
And 70s.
And 70s, yeah.
That's what I remember. My dad always having like a case or cases of Labatt Blue stubbies in the garage. There was the unopened ones. I remember it still had sort of like the perforated cardboard thing on the on the top, and you'd rip it open. And then the used ones where he put his empties in, that smelled like so gross.
So if you follow railroad tracks in Canada, and I'm guessing in the U.S. as well, and probably other places, what you will find is in forested areas, that if you dig around, you will find itinerant camps with garbage from the, all the way back to the 1930s, 20s.
Really?
Yeah. Particularly the 30s, the dirty 30s, the Depression era. And it's interesting because you can kind of date the last time the site was used by itinerant, rail traffickers by the garbage they left, right? And so that's one of the things to look for to date a site is, what do the beer bottles look like?
That's interesting because I not that I frequent along railway tracks, but I've never really come across an old bottle. The only thing I've come across, and this is when I was digging in the backyard.
Oh my God, you are so on the island.
Yeah, okay. So the only thing that I discovered was a Hot Wheels car when I was digging up the backyard that
Really?
Yeah, it was like a 1977 or something Hot Wheels car. It was actually in fantastic shape for something that had probably been buried in the dirt for 30, 40 years. But yeah, that's the only thing of
50 years.
Huh?
It's from the 70s, that'd be 50 years.
No, well, assuming it was buried right when it was brand new.
That was a long time ago. We're not that old.
I hate to be a stickler for math.
Please continue.
Yes. Are you still talking about your beer there? Locke?
Yeah, right. So it sort of tastes sort of like an itinerant sort of homeless camp on the side of a railroad track. Drink, like after something like 50 years. That is entirely the flavor and taste here now.
It's like drinking.
The name of your Can of Bliss. The only thing that distracts me from its swirly green and orange grooviness in a 1970s kind of a frame is the fact that if you say Can of Bliss fast, it sort of sounds like you're saying cannabis, but who would do that nowadays? It's sort of like something that you maybe want to do in the 90s when you were posturing that you were like in favor of legalizing weed, man, because that's a rebel pose, no?
So Locke, how
to say about this? It's an 8.2% fucking beer for people who don't want to drink. What what is it? What's oh my God! I can't believe I'm gapping out on this. The Danish. The Danish fucking 8%er that's been in Tall Boys since introduced to the Canadian market. It's the beer that you choose for $2.50 if you need to get drunk in a hurry while you're running through the park.
Oh, yeah, like is that Fax or something?
Yeah, Fax. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, excellent stuff, but God, that's the kind of but it's like a hazy Fax.
Okay. All right. Wow.
And over to you, Dave. What are you drinking this evening, sir?
Whoop. I got the peppermint ginger thing going on. The mug's more interesting than the tea.
How's it? Aloha. Did you like trip into like a airport that had some sort of thing on it?
It's one of my ladies actually. She had this.
Did she actually go to Hawaii at some point?
I think she did.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Because otherwise it would be kind of weird.
Yeah, it would.
Be crazy.
No, I like it. Let's me imagine that I'm
Right.
in Hawaii sometimes, because hey, that's not going to happen anytime soon.
No.
No, that's true. So we're drinking beer. Dave's drinking tea. Nothing unusual there. What's been going on this past week? It's been, or the past 2 weeks. We haven't done a show for a couple of weeks because last week I couldn't manage it. So,
So, Shane, maybe we should mention while we're live here your revelation that our math sucks. Because recently we celebrated our 5th anniversary, and
that's right. Now here's the thing: we drink beer. To hell with math. So anyway, last week, I mean, I wasn't able to do the shows. I wasn't feeling too well, but the thing that I did do last week is I finally started going through all of our past episodes because we had a period between, like last year, between March and June, where the recorder for the live stream wasn't working properly. So we had this gap on our YouTube channel. And I thought, oh, okay, well, I better grab the videos from elsewhere, from Facebook, and re-upload them into YouTube and then sort them out, give them their thumbnails, all that kind of fun stuff. And so while I was doing that, I also was cleaning up the episodes for the advent calendar for last year. Because normally I like to tell people, write it out, what the beer was that was in the episode and that kind of stuff. And so I had to go through all that. I had to go find all the photographs and make sure I only missed one because Allison recycled some of the cans early. So I got all of them except for one. So that was fine. But so after I did that, I just started going through and going, okay, now that I've cleaned up all this, I've cleaned up all that, I should go back. And I know that we're at episode 212 or something for the show. So when COVID hit, so I started organizing those and started documenting what beer, what breweries, all this kind of stuff. Just mind-numbing work that I do while I'm listening to audiobooks. So I get through it, and it's a benefit. So then I was realizing the dates on these videos, on a bunch of the videos that I had uploaded when I grabbed them from Facebook the last time, back when the show started. And I realized, I'm like, wait a minute, let me do the math here. All of these videos were uploaded in the fall of 2015, which means, and I'm going through all the dates that I had written down for all of those, and I'm like, wait a minute, we started in February of 2015, not 2016. So this show is actually 6 years old, not 5. Like, we're like, the 5th birthday, yeah! No, we screwed that up. It was our 6th birthday. I blame COVID, to be honest, because last year COVID was hitting and starting, and
yeah.
I don't think we were too worried about what, because after that we were like, who cares what episode it is? It's the COVID edition. Pick a letter. NC 1701.
Whatever, we're all gonna die anyway.
So I think we've actually been doing this show for 6 years.
Wow.
So I just wanted to point that out because as I was going through all that.
Basically, our point here is we've been doing this show for 6 years, not 5. Well, 5 years, but one of the years didn't count.
Yeah.
And we're not sure.
Pretty much.
We're not really sure. No.
From that perspective, then that is true.
One didn't count. Last one didn't count. Didn't count.
But anyway, I just wanted to point that out because it was kind of funny that we completely didn't even notice. That I was like, yeah, 5 years, yeah.
Well, 5 or 6.
5 or 6, whatever.
That's
It's
what
all the
happens
same.
when you get older. You start to well, actually, whether you notice or it doesn't really matter. You just don't really care anymore.
When you start
Um,
pushing half a century,
It's in the well-honored tradition of the Baker's 7.
so true. So anyway, this past week or past couple weeks has been relatively quiet. There's been nothing about Trump or anything in the news.
yay!
Because he got impeached, sort of.
No, he didn't.
Well, he kind of was, but not really.
He was acquitted.
He was acquitted. Yeah.
Impeach is an American word for we talked a whole bunch and nothing happened.
Yeah, I mean that's actually the truth, man. Like there was that sort of feeling of the whole world, but the reason I bring it up is that aside from that, which I did sort of half pay attention to, not really. I didn't like worry about it every day, and I also didn't think about COVID every day either. I put on my mask, all that kind of stuff. But other than that, I wasn't following up on what was going on. So I just thought that was, I don't know, it was the first time in a long while that I've actually had that. I don't know, just that ability to completely just vegetate. Does that make any sense?
God.
Have you guys experienced this at all?
Time news people must feel like oil people felt fucking 6 months ago.
Yeah, it's true. That would be true. But I don't know. I just kind of, I was weirded out by it, realizing that I just hadn't really been too bothered by anything.
It's been kind of nice,
I'm
actually.
a strong believer in quiet government. Was there graft under Chrétien? Yeah, of course there was graft under Chrétien. There's graft under most of the federal liberals. But you know what? The fucking fact of the matter is, I don't remember the Chrétien years for Chrétien, and I thank him for that. I thank him dearly.
It's true.
It definitely.
The goal of any government is to be completely
Shut the fuck up. Yeah.
Just do stuff and leave us the hell out of it.
And then yeah, that's it. And then we never think about you again. Excuse me.
And then we just drink beer, and it doesn't really matter after that. I don't know. I just felt a bit strange that I was not stressing or thinking about anything going on in the world.
Well, okay. So on that same kind of vein, let's say a year from now, or hopefully less than that, the pandemic will be officially in the rear view. And you can go out again and socialize and not wear a mask everywhere. How are you going to feel about that? Are you going to feel naked? Do you feel wrong? Do you feel somehow vulnerable going out into public now that you don't have a mask on and you're mingling with people and you're within 6 feet of them? And
yeah, you know what? That's never really been my worry. My worry has always been the stress because myself, oh shit, might I react unusually badly? Maybe. I don't know. It's really difficult to say who's going to behave what way to this virus. But for my own self, I've never been particularly concerned. My concern has always been that, I associate with a lot of people who are older than I am, who are in exactly the state of vulnerability that this thing seems to be deadly towards. And so I can't consciously be a conduit for that. Now, once they get vaccinated, once they get vaccinated or whatever, my life becomes a lot less difficult.
Yes.
Immeasurably less difficult. But here are some takeaways from the last year. One, I don't think I'm any more or less lonely than I was when I was going to the bar all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, truthfully, I've doubled down on those people that matter, and that's been a useful thing. Truthfully, I don't think like I've always been somebody who loves good conversation with strangers. But truthfully, you know, I don't know. I don't know that I've particularly missed it.
What do you mean?
Well, you know, like I'm always somebody that wants to hear a point of view other than my own, and other than the echo chamber that surrounds me. But then, you know, like I've never been particularly cliquey. I've never been part of any particular club. I mean, memberships court me. I don't court them. Like, so generally speaking, you know, social distancing is maybe part of my DNA. But the simple fact of the matter is, I used to be in marketing as my day job, and since this occurred, since the pandemic, I said something to somebody once, which was there were a little bit of networking, a little bit of something or other, and I was like, yeah, what was it? I can't remember. That's too long ago. But basically, the tenor of it was, you spend your time looking for prospects, or do you spend your time working on what you do? Because the thing is, when what you do is kick ass, you don't need to look for prospects. They come to you. You know what I mean? Like, there's a mentality, and I think it's a very American one, which is to say that the louder you shout, the more people you reach. But when reaching them isn't good enough, if when you reach them, you put them off, better that you didn't reach them. You know what I mean? Like it's better to focus on what you do, what you're good at, what is your thing, what is your value add. Focus on that, and you don't need a sales department to kick ass because their job suddenly became easy because what you're doing is something that people want, right? You know?
Yeah.
To me, that's if I learned anything from this pandemic, I learned that.
I fully support what you just said. Well, that's the show tonight, everyone. Thank you so much. Come on by, try the meal.
That's because I'm right.
Yeah. There isn't a lot going on in the news, so it's yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find things for us to talk about.
There's things that go on in the news, and there's things that go on in people's personal lives. And truthfully, what can they do something about? Most of the problem with news is most of what goes on in the news, nobody can do anything about.
Yeah.
It's wonderful to know that, like, is Trump being impeached? Like, what's going on in Iran right now? Well, am I in Iran? Do I have access to Iran? Am I Iranian? If you are Iranian, that might be relevant. But for me, like, aside from observing that Persia has been a world force since, something like 2000 BC, I don't know what's going on in Iran, and it doesn't really affect me. And even if it does, what can I do to affect that? Pretty much nothing. So why the fuck should I care? There's a lot of news that it's sort of like but this is going on, and very exciting. But A, does it affect me? If it does, then it's good for me to know about it. So fair enough on that. B, can I affect it? No. Then drilling down on it won't particularly help, will it?
That is actually quite true.
Well,
I mean, how else can you argue that?
Makes you look smarter.
And looking smarter is potentially a close to home reality, and so insofar as it allows you to posture and make other people look dumb, then absolutely focus as much as you can on that kind of content, because it is an opportunity to try to upstage, whoever it is that you're trying to.
Yes, to people that care.
I'm a smarty. They're a dummy. Ha! Like the way you do.
Totally.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. I've totally forgotten what the hell I was going to ask.
Yeah.
It was something about beer. I have no doubt.
That was it. That was it. Beer. But anyway, in the news regarding beer this particular week, even though we think there was really nothing going on, there are a couple things that I wouldn't mind getting your opinions on, boys.
Sure.
First of all, Newfoundland and Labrador have gone out of their way. The government's gone out of its way to stock alcohol stores, considering that right now they're going through a bit of a spike in COVID cases. So they're not locking down, but they are definitely doing that stuff. So I do shout out to that. And is it important for the government to do that? I mean, when you really think about it, yeah, no, maybe so.
I think so. The amount, if you're going to make people stay inside, you got to give them something to do. And while it may not be the healthiest thing exactly, I think there's more detriments from not giving them that option, which is why here in BC and other provinces, alcohol is considered to be an essential service.
That is true. That is very true. Which I had no problem with at all.
Well, and through the pandemic, it's actually alcohol consumption in Canada has increased by a very big amount. I don't have the stats off the top of my head, but it's gone up big. And yeah, and it's just because people, if they're going to be stuck inside. So we had snow here in Victoria this week.
Fucking really? No doubt.
Oh yeah,
actually
quite a bit. Quite a bit.
Okay, we're not talking about like that fucking snowstorm in the fucking 90s.
No, not on that.
Not anywhere near, but not far off either, to be honest.
Well, probably about half that.
Right. So like 3 feet.
Yeah. So I have a 4x4
for anybody that's
Yeah. So I have a 4x4, so I was able to take my wife out to work and my kid to work and stuff like that. And I went by a liquor store. Actually, I went to the pet food store, which was no. I was going to the pet food store, which was very close to a liquor store.
Yeah.
And the people going in and out of that liquor store, because they knew that there was going to be, I mean, not just the pandemic, but because of the snow, they weren't going to be going anywhere that night. And the amount of people that were buying alcohol, yeah, I mean, if people are going to be stuck inside, they're going to get sloshed.
Yeah, well, it ain't a drink driving issue, is it?
No, exactly.
No, not at all. One would hope not, anyway.
Unless they have like a racetrack in their house.
Or snow.
Which would be kind of awesome.
You know what I wish I had? You remember those, Shane, you might remember this, at Johnny Z's in the early 90s. So Johnny Z's was an arcade here in Victoria.
Yeah. Are we talking about the one under the Capital 6?
Yes.
Yeah.
So in the early 90s, when you walked in the front door, right in front of you would be this lineup of games, and it was called, I think, Daytona USA, and they were all linked together. There was like four of them together, and you could all sit in these things, and you each plug in your quarters, and you would all race against each other. I would love to have that in my house.
That would be a
Okay.
station.
Totally.
Those things were awesome. I think I remember playing against Shane.
What I remember best out of the Johnny Z's under the Capital 6 was that was the first time I ever saw the Street Fighter edition of arcade terminals that had the Carney how hard can you punch button.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
You actually slam the button with your fist and you.
I have no recollection of that.
Oh my god! Yeah, no. This would have been kind of like when Street Fighter first came out. It was part of when it was first released. That was their gimmick. It caught on so fucking hard that they realized they didn't need the hardware gimmick anymore. Just
Street Fighter 2 is probably the more well-known.
Exactly. Yeah. That's where they started expanding on story and different characters and all of that. When Street Fighter first came out, it was like a carny event where you bang your fist on the button, and how hard you hit the button reflects how much damage you do to your opponent.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and Street Fighter 2, what they realized is that's a small market. We want a big market.
Yeah.
Right.
Sharp entry, clever to get recognition by going in that way. But once they were in, we want a big market. We don't want a small market. Right?
I miss Johnny Z's. Like, I wish it was still around. Interestingly,
I spent most of junior high school there.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So did I.
Not that Johnny Z's. The one up at
University Heights.
Yes.
Yeah. Interestingly, so there's an arcade here in Victoria now. It's called Quasar's Arcade. It's in Trounce Alley. They have arcade machines.
I've totally been there. Yes, they have some quality retro there, including Dragon's Lair.
Yes, that's true.
Dragon's Lair 2. Is it Dragon's Lair 2?
No, I think it's Dragon's Lair 1, but I don't know. I could be wrong. But they have set up a second location called it's strictly pinball. It's called Powerhouse Pinball.
Well, they wouldn't be doing that if it wasn't profitable, right?
Exactly. And one thing that they had, I don't know if it was gifted to them or what, but apparently they've put it up on the wall. They have the Johnny Z's sign up on the wall.
Cool.
In there.
Yeah.
Cool.
Look,
Yeah.
Cool.
that's quality. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So whatever else you can say about Toronto, Dundas Square, the old Sam the Record Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, the discs, the
Yeah.
Yep.
They've mounted those up top, overlooking Dundas Square, which I think is just I think that is so class. I'm very into that.
So they're not on the original building still?
No.
No. Okay.
Like the original building. So Sam the Record Man died. HMV died not very long after. We are no longer in the age of the record store.
No.
The record store is done. It's no longer that kind of business.
Right.
It's a different kind of business, but it's not that kind of business.
I felt lucky enough to be able to.
But back in the day, the music business commanded the same kind of respect that the oil business does right now.
Yeah.
Which is to say the oil business has fallen a little bit. But the simple fact of the matter is, it used to command a degree of commercial and fiscal attention that it no longer does. But back then, those discs, they really meant something. That was the prosperity of Toronto.
I felt lucky at the time that I got to see them in person.
Yeah.
Those discs in person at the actual original location. When I was in Toronto in the
it's amazing the number of city scenes shot in American cities where those discs surprisingly show up.
Yeah. It was actually kind of freaky, actually, because I was there at night. I was staying at a hostel, which was actually the Humber College, but I guess the dorms they used as a hostel in the summer.
Yeah.
So I stayed there for a couple of nights, and I just went walking around, and I didn't know where I was going necessarily.
What year would this have been?
This would have been probably, I want to say 2002, something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe 2001. And I was just walking around and I came across Sam, the record man, and it was about 11 o'clock at night, and it was actually pretty sketchy down there. Yeah, I was kind of like afraid for my life at that point. Yeah. And I went into a pizza, and I had some really bad pizza. I would never go to a pizza ever again. I'm sorry. Okay, so
it is cardboard with.
So here's a saying that I go by. Okay, it's like there can be pizza can be good or bad, but even when it's bad, it's still pretty good. The only exception is pizza.
About coffee.
Yeah. Pizza sucks.
Yeah.
Don't ever go there. Now, welcome to our new sponsors, Pizza.
Pizza. You got free pizza. You got free pizza. You got free
We're the
pizza.
fucking Crafty boys. That is the opposite of craft. That is just shit it out as fast as you can.
Having said that, if Pizza offered us money, I would take it.
Yeah, well, yeah, that is true. I'm so desperate.
Anyway, there are far better street food to be had. Look, if you're on Yonge Street nowadays, you don't go for pizza anyway. You go for fucking Jamaican food because that's what's good.
I agree. There was actually something else I wanted to mention. What are they called? Anheuser-Busch are giving away free beer to healthcare workers for recycling PPE properly. Don't know if you guys have seen this.
We're giving you beer to be responsible, to make sure that you're responsible. You just keep drinking that beer, you'll be responsible. Yep.
Yeah, it is. I don't know. It's a very, very strange
Give you money, but we'll
thing.
give you product because after all, like you were hyper vigilant, so now you need a beer. You know what? Actually, that's fucking merciful. Like the hypervigilance thing is pretty fucking bad when you're right into it, and everything is a trauma, and everybody around you is dying for a reason you can't do something about, but it's your job to care about that. Yeah, maybe a beer is probably not a bad solution. Shit. Normally I would be pretty fucking hyper cynical about this, but you know what? Yeah, those people deserve a beer, and if they're getting it from Anheuser-Busch, I'm not going to complain.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, whatever. I mean, more power to them.
Yeah, whatever. More power.
More power to them. And you could quote me on that.
Yeah, we're talking about the care workers, not Anheuser-Busch, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Free beer for the. Yes,
Right.
exactly. Yeah. Wouldn't that be the worst to actually learn that was the truth behind it?
What
To me, that would just be
it
so
was
sad.
actually a beer marketing campaign gone wrong.
Oh man. Oh, that's so sad.
I know. We'll poison the planet to kill all the people to make them drink more beer. Yeah. Yes. We'll find a way. Sort them out. Make them our slaves. They will bow to us, and we will serve them our shitty beer because fuck them. They're dying, so they need beer.
The other story that I was reading about was because of COVID. Apparently, 2021 is going to be the year of the dessert beer. And this apparently, from what I've been reading, is a real push coming out of Australia, where sweet beers are becoming a thing. Especially since Australia is going into the, it's right now, it's coming out of summer, it's in the fall at the moment, going into winter. And this apparently is a thing. And
Well,
it made me think back on our experiment of drinking cake and whatever the hell else that other beer was.
I'm going
And
to.
we hated it.
Well, I didn't hate it, but I go out on a limb here and say that I think probably Australia is behind the times, that we've had sweet beers for many years. I don't think it's going to, if it explodes out in the rest of the world, it will not explode here. We've already done it. And I think people are, at least in BC, ready to move on.
Look,
Okay.
right, mate.
Go ahead, Doc.
So you got your sweet ass beers at East, right? Eh?
Is that supposed to be Australian?
They're all fucking these frosty, what are they? Hazy beers, yeah? And they all bloody taste like pineapple, right? You know what I'm saying?
What the hell?
Sounds kind of Scottish.
It's like an Australian-Scottish mix. Oh my god.
Exactly, mate. Exactly right. Yeah. Scottish Australian mix. It's mum's side. So what we're really saying here is this new Australian product, this fascination with sweet beers. It's sort of a Yank thing, isn't it?
Sure.
Okay.
But more importantly, though, Locke.
It's not properly Pacific Rim, is it? Nah.
Nah,
Is
there's
it?
not.
Yeah.
Ain't.
Excellent.
Put another shrimp on the barbie.
Sure. What are you talking about, mate?
But Locke, you will definitely enjoy this final story, which is the one where there is a brewery in Vienna, or sorry, a craft beer. It's called the Amutzen. I'm pronouncing that wrong. Craft beer dive in Vienna, where because of the rise of craft beer over the last number of years, he has a place where you can go where you can get 1,000 different beers from over 100 different microbreweries across Europe. Wow. In Vienna. We have to go there. It is imperative that we find this place. But he was featured in this new documentary that's just come out called Beer, a Love Story. And it was filmed in the US and in Europe, primarily Europe, from what I understand. And basically, it's trying to answer why we as human beings love beer so much. So, Locke, tell me in 50 words or less why beer is important.
You're going to use at least 50. You're going to use 50 words.
No. I'm trying to get the quote right because it was spoken by Benjamin Franklin and it was in that many words. I think beer is God's way of saying He loves you and thinks you deserve to be happy.
Perfect. What about you, Dave? Why is beer important in 50 words or less?
Safe water.
Safe water. Okay. Alan?
It makes your wife look sexy.
Oh.
It makes my penis feel larger.
I don't feel so bad about myself.
I, of course, would have to say that my quote would be, if we're going with quotes, would be from Homer Simpson. Beer, the solution and cause to all of life's problems.
The cause of and solution to all of life's problems.
Exactly. So yeah, that to me sort of says it all for a lot of that. But yeah. Oh my God, man, boys. But anyway, 6 years, 6 whole years of us doing this, and we're still going strong.
Well,
I don't see us. Yeah, we're still. Dave, are we going strong?
The strong part.
Locke, are we going strong?
Yeah.
There we go. Perfect. We'll leave it at that point tonight, and so we can go back to bed, apparently. But thank you all for watching. Thank you for coming by, and don't forget to spread the word about the show, and also drink some good beer and tell us about it, and we'll drink beer and tell you about ours. So, Alan, as always, take us out.